All right, we'd like to welcome everybody out to Surprise We Both Love Movies. Today, we're going to be reviewing not just Wonder Woman 1984, but we're going to be reviewing COVID as well. So we're going to tie into that at the end of this episode. But mainly, we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman 1984. This is the sequel to the 2017 film by Patty Jenkins. She is back to direct. And this movie stars Gal Godot. We've got Chris Pine. Pedro Pascal is joining the crew this time, as well as Kristen Wiig playing Cheetah in the movie. I got a lot to talk about on this film, so I'll let you kind of lead us off on this.
Right.
How did you, first of all, how did you see it?
All right, so I didn't go to the movie theater. I have Hulu, so I did a little additional, content add-on for $14.99 and added it to my Hulu subscription and was able to tap in after going through Hulu and then not seeing that was unsuccessful. Then I had to actually go into the HBO Max app in order to access it.
Yes.
Then went to watch it Christmas morning, not an option. You had to wait till noon. So eventually that evening, I got to watch Wonder Woman 1984 and highly hyped, really exciting. I enjoyed the first movie. So I was going in with a very positive approach and very, looking forward to seeing this movie. And Wonder Woman 1984, it started out really great. If you've seen the trailer, you see her as a little girl and she's going through these like trials where she's trying to show her physical acumen and what she can do. And it's really great. It starts out really hot and you get to see her and her mom kind of interact. And you get a little backstory on Diana and how she came to be Wonder Woman a little bit and some of the things that will be later exposed in the story. So it started out really great. And then it jumps into this like kind of quirky 1980s Richard Donner Superman-esque type little scene where she's kind of superhero, and it seems a little bit, it's like a throwback of those movies, of the old superhero movies you'll see. And then it starts to kind of dance around and it deals with the issue where you realize that there's a character in the movie that has the ability, that's granted the ability to give any wish that anyone asks of him, and that's basically the story. So she inadvertently asked for Chris Pine, her love from the first story, to come back into her life, while Kristen Wiig's character asked for to be what she wanted to be more than anything, which was to be Diana. And it goes along on a pretty nice, nice pacing. But it feels like very uneven to me is what it felt like. It felt like super excited to begin with and kind of quirky. And then it comes to like this kind of not very well explained like phenomenon where they find this thing that grants them this power. And then the guy has the power and it kind of bounced around a lot is what I say. Now, I'll tell you how I finally feel about it. First, I want to hear what you thought about it because you're a big DC fan.
Yes.
So what did you, in a nutshell, what did you kind of start feeling about this movie?
So it is important to know that I am a massive DC fan. So I am more, I'm going to probably have a more positive outlook on these movies than most would. The first movie to me was amazing. I had this feeling of seeing Christopher Reeve as Superman as a kid, true superhero, this amazing feeling. I've never seen a superhero film that was able to capture that feeling again until the 2017 film. That film had me cheering, made me tear up. I loved it. It was incredible. So my whole thing going into this is I wanted another scene like the No Man's Land scene in the first film. That's what really drew me in. And we do have a scene like that in this film, but it's way different. It's not in a moment of battle. It's a very intimate moment. Mm-hmm. And it ties in. Now, here's what I did prior to seeing the film. Now, I watched it at home on Christmas Day. As soon as 10 a.m. hit here, boom, I was on and I was watching it. Right. This film, to me, was solid from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. But the end, to me, was the weak part. And this is the same issue I had with the first movie. I thought the third act is where it kind of fell apart a little bit. Mm-hmm. And everything up to that, to me, was solid, though. Where the wishes came from, how they came to be is all explained in the movie. Mm-hmm. They don't leave anything out. You're right about the tone. The opening sequence is amazing. Yeah. The music, the cinematography, it is incredible. And then we do go into this 1984 goofy mall scene.
Yeah, it's kind of campy.
It is campy, and it is very, and she said she wanted to model this after Richard Donner's film, so I can see where the inspiration came from. And then it changes gears and gets a lot more serious again.
Yeah.
And so it was uneven in the feeling, but it didn't take me away from the film, because where it needed to be emotional, I thought it was emotional. Where it needed to hit on all the cylinders, I thought it hit. And there's the opening sequence has to do with Diana basically cheating. There's a lesson to be learned there. Right. And I saw a lot of reviewers say they never revisit that again. Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the scene that I'm talking about that made me feel emotional again is a direct tie to that, because she cut corners on something and has to rectify that. So it was a direct tie. So they do directly tie in with that. It's not left out there in the ether and they don't follow up on it. They actually do. So it is a solid film. Would I have made some of the same choices they did? No, I would have made Pedro Pascal's character a little more serious. He's a little cartoonish. This to me felt like an Indiana Jones movie, like them doing the research on what was happening and trying to follow up on what was going on. To me, it felt kind of Indiana Jones-esque. Okay.
Yeah, the archaeology aspect of it. I could see that.
And that's kind of what I felt, not the decision I would have made for the film overall.
Right.
I do like where it went. There's a lot that they don't tell you at the end that really did need to be explained.
Right.
So I felt like the movie ended prematurely. Cheetah was not just thrown in there. A lot of people complained about that. I thought she was well placed. She did help to move the story along. Couldn't have gotten where we needed to with the story without her in there. But I felt like she was definitely shortchanged with the battle that they had. The battle, I thought, was too short and didn't have enough meat to it to justify having her in the film.
Right.
Barbara Minerva being in the film, though, was good. Like, this should have been her setup for the third film, but they kind of rushed it.
And that's what it felt like to me. It just felt like, like her character. I liked her for her character in the first couple acts, and then in the third act, she morphed into a different character, and it was surprising if you really didn't have a lot of the backstory and knew what was, I had seen reviews and knew what was going to happen. It was like all of a sudden she becomes something that she wasn't at the beginning of the movie. And it was, like I said, it was highly entertaining is what I would say. I'd still say it was highly entertaining throughout. But is it like, for me, cognitively, there's lots of things that weren't so smooth and weren't explained well. And it was just like, all of a sudden, she has an opportunity to bring her old boyfriend back. And then we get to see that the actual boyfriend is not the actual boyfriend technically, but Chris Pine plays the character again through this movie. So there's little things like that where I was just like,
here's the thing.
We should see the other guy.
You're right. A lot of people complained about this, but the thing is, in the movie, she saw Chris Pine. She did not see the guy that he took the body of.
Right.
And it was well done, but for her, it was totally him.
Right.
She did not see, because of her wish, she didn't see the other guy. She saw him. Everyone else saw the body, the other guy.
And like I said, it was minor. It's just like little minor things like that. It's not like something that's going to crush the story or make it a horrible movie or a great movie. It's just little things like that. There were several little things like that where I was like, I was a little put off just a little bit, but it didn't keep me from enjoying the movie as a whole. I thought Pedro Pascal did a great job in that role, considering how it was written and what it was. I thought he did a very good job. He seemed very convincing. I thought the motivation for all the characters was very clear. The acting was good. The music was good. I had no complaints. The cinematography was nice, and the action scenes were very smooth. And I think were a credit to the first movie in the sense that they were on that same level, even if they weren't in the same dynamic emotionally. But overall, I thought it was a solid movie, but I'm going to be honest, I was slightly disappointed because I felt like the old one was up here, and then this one was about right there. And, it's very difficult to make a sequel that, does better than the original, but it was a worthy effort.
It was close.
And I'm sure they'll make another one. I don't
know
what year it'll be when they make a sequel, but we will
It's been greenlit. They're both coming back. They're fast tracking it. So we'll probably see it in 2 years. So, she's doing, Patty Jenkins is directing a Star Wars film, and I'm wondering what it's going to do with that, because They fast-tracked this just the other day. It's a done deal. So
Right.
it is coming. Here's my final score on this. So for the first one, I'd give it a 9. First
Okay.
one, solid 9. Not quite a 10, close, but not quite there. Because like I said, the third act had issues. I didn't think it meshed with the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happened in this one. I'd give it a half less. So I'd give it 8 out of 10. So
Okay. Right.
8 out of 10 on this one, little less. What I loved more than anything was the music. I think the music is phenomenal. You know, people don't know this, but Hans Zimmer actually scored the film, and he swore after he was done doing Batman versus Superman that he was not going to come back and ever do a superhero film again. So he said he was done.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy to see him come back because he's good at it. He's very good at it.
Does it get a film score? What do you think?
It does have some rewatchability, but I'd probably put it right in the middle at a 5 because it does have rewatchability. It's a superhero film with some depth to it, but there's no underlying powerful message other than you can't cut corners. That's the point of the movie, is you cannot cut corners. And I think they make that point quite well.
For me, my score of the original Wonder Woman was 8 out of 10. For this one, I'm going to take it down a notch as a movie. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. You will enjoy it. You'll have a good time. If you like the first one, you're going to like this one. But it's just something a little bit missing from this one that you can't quite put your finger on. But it is still a solid movie. As far as a film score is concerned, I'm much aligned with you. There's some subtle things that are in there, but it's mainly around that central theme. So I would go with a 5 out of 10 as well. But it was a very enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
It's hard to live up to the hype sometimes in these situations, but it's a worthy effort, and I look forward to seeing the next one when it comes out.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I think what was off was just the tone was different throughout the film. They kept changing the tone, and that's what gave it that uneven feeling. For people who don't know, too, you got to stay for the credits. There is a post-credit scene that is important, and I think it's going to have a lot to do with the third movie. So definitely stay for the post-credit scene. It'll get a lot of people will cheer at that post-credit scene. So,
all right. So, Aaron, you've been out of it for a little bit. We had to delay kind of our show a little bit this week. So what's been going on with you? You told me in a message, but why don't you tell our audience here what happened? I want to hear the story.
I got COVID. So now I have personally not been tested, but I'm 100% positive that I have COVID. The day before Christmas Eve, it hit me like a ton of bricks the second half of the day. And I'm like, I got something coming. But I didn't feel I didn't think it was COVID. Like when you hear COVID, you think your lungs, you're going to have to end up in the hospital. You're going to end up with pneumonia and all this. I never got any of those symptoms. I have a little bit of a cough. I have a little bit of stuff in my lungs. Okay. Very minor.
All right.
But what I got tenfold were freaking body aches. Like
body aches, huh?
I am 9 days into this and I am still getting horrible body aches to the point where I feel like I got to just lay down and be done with it. I haven't lost my energy. I can breathe okay. I am coughing, a little bit of stuff, but I have 2 kids that have it.
All right.
They are far worse off than I am. So,
really?
Yeah, they have more stuff in the lungs. They're not like, they don't need to be hospitalized or anything.
Right.
But they have the body aches. I never got a fever. They got the fever. So it's floating around our house. What's funny is half of us have it, half of us don't.
Oh, okay.
So I think everybody else is probably asymptomatic, and that it's just not going to become full blown for those individuals. But I'm definitely on that scale with my genes that it's not a dangerous thing.
That's good.
And it's just like what's going to happen with the rest of the family, because we did get together with family for Christmas Eve and Christmas.
No.
But they all knew ahead of time. Okay. But what everybody is doing now is everybody is taking vitamin D and everybody is taking zinc.
When you told me, you said, hey, I'm not sure if I have it, but I can't taste foods. And I was like, oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a done deal, dude. When you stop tasting food.
Yes.
I'm like, So what's that experience been like? And also, how bad are the body aches? Does it feel like somebody just came up with you with a big old bat and just start wailing on you? Or is it just more like an achy type of
It's an achy feeling. The worst part of it is the achiness. Now, for me, I'm lucky when it comes to the smell and the taste, because the day of Christmas, I could smell a little bit. I started feeling bad the day before Christmas Eve. So I could smell and taste the day before.
Okay.
The day of Christmas Eve, we were cooking stuff for the family, and my smell was probably at about 50%, but I could taste just fine. The day of Christmas, I lost my smell entirely, but I could still taste.
Okay.
The day after Christmas, I lost both.
Oh!
Okay. So the day after Christmas, I lost both. But now, was it yesterday or the day before, I started to taste and smell again?
So what was the first thing you did when you couldn't, like, when you were like, maybe I'm not sure if I could take, like, did you get some pepper, put it on your tongue? I mean, what did you do to, like, verify?
To verify is I made chocolate chip cookies and I couldn't taste a damn thing. I was like, no, I can't taste Toll House cookies. Something's seriously wrong here. So,
oh no,
yeah, I couldn't taste the cookies. That was like 4 nights ago. We watched It's a Wonderful Life, and I had cookies and milk and couldn't taste a dang thing. And I'm like, yeah, this sucks. But they only lasted for, like I said, 2 days. I've heard people lose their smell and taste for like a month.
Oh yeah.
Mine was only for a few days.
That's
and like Today we had eggs, bacon, and sausage. We got an air fryer for Christmas, and the thing is amazing. So we're cooking all kinds of stuff, and I can finally smell and taste again. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. My kids, though, my daughter, she can't smell or taste anything right now. So,
well, speaking of daughters, my daughter actually, like, Christmas morning, I come over and I'm like, hey, she's in bed. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Oh, she doesn't feel well. I'm like, suspicious. So I go in the room, pop my head in, kind of like walking just for a little bit. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Are you all right? Yeah, I just don't feel good. I'm like, you got COVID? She's like, oh, I don't think so. I don't know. And I'm like, okay. So then we went, opened up presents and everything. And then I'm like, all right, let me go. I told her I'd come back in with her present. And so I masked up, put the mask on, Doc tied the ears, went in there, like, kept my distance, kind of threw her present at her from a safe distance, and said, hey, open it up. And, we all went in there, and she opened up her presents, and then she was like, oh, thank you. And then, like, that was Christmas morning. And then after that, she kind of was getting worse for a couple of days. I was like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? She's like, I don't feel good. And then her mom said, hey, you know what? We're going to go to urgent care. And I was like, oh, geez, are you serious? Like, is she all right? And they're like, they're going to test her for strep and for COVID. And I was like, well, my daughter was under the belief. She's like, okay, I think it's, strep throat or something, She, like, didn't really have any symptoms besides, like, being a headache and a sore throat. And so they said it's going to be 2 or 3 days before you get the test back. And she went. And so when she came back, they gave her some meds to, like, some different medications to help her with her sore throat and just to help her feel better. And so the next day I'm like, hey, how you doing? She's like, oh, I feel really good. And then yesterday she's like, oh, you still feel good? She's like, yeah, I still feel good. And then finally today, confirmation, yes, indeed, it is COVID. And so, trying to, she's going to be away from work and away from her life and sequestered in the house, but that's what you have to do. So,
hopefully she does okay.
Around that day, putting the mask on, being cautious, keeping my distance from her. But, I'd advise everybody, just be careful. I mean, it's really hard when your loved ones are sick and you want to just pretend like everything is just normal, but it's really not right now.
Yeah, here's what I will tell people about COVID. I am a germaphobe, meaning I have worn my mask everywhere and I wash my hands like crazy. Because if I get sick as a voice actor, I can't work.
Right.
I still got it. So it's, yes, you got to do what you got to do, but you can get it. I still don't know where it came from. But yes, wash your hands, wear your masks.
Wear your mask.
If you're going to leave your house, wear that mask. And I would say if you don't have to go anywhere, don't go anywhere.
Exactly. So
yep.
Thanks for sharing that story. I thought we'd have a little different show this week. So Thanks, Aaron, for sharing his personal story. And everybody out there, make sure you stay safe. And like I said, wash your hands, wear your mask, and stay home if you don't have to leave. That's all we have for this week. Thank you guys for joining us. Please listen on all of our formats on iTunes, on Spotify, and you can always find us here each week on YouTube. So I'm Lamont.
I'm Aaron.
And we'll see you guys next week.